primarily. And I just, whatever gifts I have, I really want to use for the glory of Allah, because I understand that He's the one who blessed me with it. And so that's what I want to be known for. And everything that I do is a labor of love. And that just about sums it up. But what I'm drinking, Sister Allison, I'm also drinking your tea in my little mug. This mug is actually an Ethiopian depiction of the Archangel Michael. So I really like this mug.
Oh, beautiful. Love that. Thank you so much, Sister Zodi.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. I think next we'll go to Sister Sadia. Sister Sadia, please tell us how you show up in the world and what you are drinking this morning.
Absolutely. So I'm Sister Sadia. I show up in the world as an attorney, a mother of 7, a wife, founder of a nonprofit organization called Queendom Come Incorporated. And just recently during COVID, Allah blessed me to launch a business that deals strictly with mothers and being able to align ourselves with our physical, mental, and spiritual. And the name of that organization is called Wusa Mama. And so what I'm drinking today, I'm drinking matcha tea, but I have one of Wusa Mama's chargers, and it's called an organite. And in it, it's so much. We can talk about that later. But what happens is, it's like with your infused crystals. Once I put this cup on top of this organite, I just have heaven in the cup. That's it. That's it. And so inside of my tea also is a few crystals as well. So, and I just want to say thank you for this platform, this opportunity, Sister Allison, Sister Naira, to just bring beautiful sisters together with nothing but a spirit of love. And when I show up, baby, I show up with a warrior-like spirit, fighting for love. That's what I show.
Yes, praise be to Allah. Love that, love that. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Sister Sadia. There she is. I was like, where's Dr. Tissa? There she is. Okay, you gotta take yourself off mute, and so you can share with us how you show up in the world and what you are drinking this morning.
You know what, sister? How do I show up in the world? I'm a doctor of natural medicine, and please forgive me, I'm still in the dark. It's kind of dark outside, and I'm trying to bring more light in. Hopefully we'll get it throughout this interview. But I'm a doctor of natural medicine. I am also a womb wellness warrior. I specialize in restorative medicine. And when I say that I focus on both my patients and clients and look at what their issues are and help to charter them through their condition. I believe that medicine incorporates, and it must incorporate, healing and education at one time, because a lot of what we are suffering with, the Bible speaks about it saying, my people are destroyed for their lack of knowledge. And so unfortunately, we have found ourselves as a people unable to really understand why we suffer the way we do with certain conditions. But my life, I have chartered as a journey of wellness and healing, because Allah has blessed me throughout my life to suffer with pretty much every condition we have ever had as a people. And through having those conditions and being able to restore myself and my family from it has given me tremendous insight. And the ability to heal ourselves is so much easier than we have been made to understand. So my love and passion is for seeing us restore ourselves and get back to our nature. And inshallah, to be reflections of the God we serve.
Yes.
As for the tea I'm drinking this morning, this one is a concoction I actually made based on a conversation I had with one of my new patients yesterday. She suffers with IBS, inflammatory bowel syndrome, and with having this issue with her irritated bowels, which are not able to properly process. And how is this condition marked? Whenever you see our sisters who have these big bellies, the swollen colons, and all of this other stuff going on. And they, no matter how little they eat, they seem to just be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. This is something that we have, you know, some of us may refer to it as, oh, well, she's fat or she's overweight, but we fail to see the origin of what's really going on in that person's body. It is an issue where the person is not able to properly digest their food, and therefore their lack of being able to properly digest it and to absorb the nutrients makes their body starve. And then you start seeing the swelling and the gas and the fecal matter and the constipation, because they lack the proper flora, which are microorganisms and other microbiome that are working synergistically and that are supposed to work synergistically with keeping us healthy and helping to properly absorb nutrients. So in this particular tea blend, after speaking to this sister for 2.5 hours in a very deep, intense consultation, Allah blessed me to put together this tea. And the concoction is one that we'll be selling off of our website, of Phoenix Rising Wellness Institute. The main components of this tea are slippery elm, fennel seed, cinnamon, and I also have some marshmallow root inside of it. I'll be putting a little bit of mushroom, and that'll be turkey tail. We don't eat mushrooms, but according to what we have been taught, we can use them medicinally to help restore that which is broken down and bring it back to life. Yes. So this tea is something that will be shipped out to her today. And like I do, whenever I make a new concoction, I test it. And I have to say, I've been enjoying it since yesterday, because I want to get an idea of how my clients will feel and my patients will feel when they drink it. And so I'm sipping this tea, and I must say, all the love that goes into making it, not just personalizing it for someone like her, who can now inspire other women to drink it and other men, but also doing it because we have to understand that everything that we seek to achieve in this world is simple and easy to attain once we trust in God and trust in the God himself.
Yes, yes. Come on now. See how she set the tone for the rest of the show, Sister Naira? See how she just did that? That's how the sisters do. And
she just presented herself. She just showed up as her. Right? So we had no choice but to come on in her room, right?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
We had to come on in your room, sister.
You know, one thing that I pray that you see from this show and every show that we do, and that is love. A demonstration of love that's coming from us, and how you can infuse that in every aspect of your life. So you all, how y'all doing over there? I just want to see really quickly if I could get some of these, what y'all are drinking. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Kava, Sister Roz, Solomon, everybody. Sister Roslyn. Thank you all so much for joining us. Drinking water, that's the best. Sister Audrey, assalamu alaikum. Brother Samuel, all of you, everybody that's joining in, praise be to Allah. You know, the first thing that I wanted to go into with everybody, when the show was coming forth, it was the women of Islam, a living testimony. Because for me, when I look at each and every one of you, that's exactly what I see, a living testimony of Islam. So when I was doing, okay, a woman, for a fraction of a second, it was the women in Islam. And it was like, no, of is the word that you want to use, of belonging to. These women belonging to Islam are a living testimony. And for me, I'm able to see how it shows up in whatever it is that you do. But first I want to start with Sister Zodi. How did you come into Islam?
Okay, praise be to Allah. So before coming to Islam, I was doing music, and you know, I was actually not religious at all. I was raised atheist. And so I was on YouTube, and I got kind of famous low-key by covering other people's songs. And through YouTube, I was able to gain so many different opportunities. I got a record deal. I sang background on tour with Solange Knowles. One of my songs went to #1 in Ethiopia, which is where my mother is from. My father is from Eritrea. And, you know, I was just doing music full time. That was my goal, and that was what I wanted to do. And there was a certain point where in my career and in my life in general, I was just very unhappy due to like heartbreak things and dissatisfaction with where my career was going, and feeling like a lack of control, a lack of direction. And I prayed for the first time in my life and acknowledged that God was real and I wanted to know him. And after that prayer, I started to get like these impulses to do things. Like shortly after that prayer, which was back in 2013, by the way, I got this impulse like, you need to detox, you need to cleanse. And I'm like, okay. And I had never fasted before, but the Ethiopian Orthodox Christian version of Lent was coming up during that time. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do that. And what that is 55 days of a vegan diet. So I started on that. And then during that time, I was still making that prayer, asking God, like, to just show me who you are. And I was hanging out with one of my good friends, Nadik, who is a fellow artist. And we went to a concert, and he introduced me to another fellow artist who happens to be an FOI, Beware, aka Brandon X, who is here in Atlanta as well. And he introduced me to the teachings, and it was so amazing. It's just so hard to really express that when I was introduced to these teachings, and the minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I was listening to his words, and it was tangible, practical things I could really apply to my life. And, you know, coming from an atheistic background, the teachings were so attractive because it wasn't spooky. You know, there's math, there's science, there's history, and learning our divinity as human beings and our relationship to God, it made sense. And you know how they say that sometimes, like, you know, truth, like when you hear it, like I felt like I know this is true. I know this is the real deal. And nothing had ever spiritually resonated with me before. You know, I dabbled into Buddhism, like I looked into it and I appreciated the principles, but there was still something missing. And, you know, I was also interested in metaphysics and things like that. And Beware introduced me to the works of Mother Taineta Muhammad. And I was just like, wow. And, you know, during that time, we go to studio sessions, Nadik, Beware, and myself, and, you know, just watching lectures. And there really aren't words to say how spiritually and like rapidly I was growing, just applying these teachings. I bought the books by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Message to the Black Man, How to Eat to Live, 1 and 2. I got Dr. Wesley's book, The Book of God, an encyclopedia of proof that the Black man is God. And I'm like drinking all of this in over some years. And I was introduced in 2013, but I started processing in 2015 because I really just wanted to really understand and grasp and get a good foundation before I ever even stepped foot in the mosque. And my first time going to the mosque here in Atlanta was actually for the Save Our Girls program. That was my first time. And
what an introduction.
Praise be to Allah. And the following Saturday, I started going to processing. And you know, I want to say that this Thursday is actually my 4-year anniversary of being registered, September 10th.
Wow.
So I'm so thankful and grateful for this journey, because the way that Islam has transformed my life, showing me more of myself, you know, being in the industry, you have all these ideas because, you know, the devil runs the industry, and those of us who are in it, we think we have to be a certain way to be successful. And so, you know, I wasn't particularly vulgar, but I was definitely not modest. And when I got these teachings, it started to show me my true value. And at the label I was with at the time, we were starting to butt heads because I didn't want to dress that way. I didn't want to sing about these things. I wanted to have substantive, message-driven music. And, you know, I don't blame my label, because they don't know either. They think that that's how you have to do it. But, you know, we've all been deceived. Satan deceived the whole world. And so, you know, getting into these teachings, I thank Allah, because it showed me that I can be myself. I didn't know who I was, but I was getting to know myself. And I had the strength and the assertiveness to really follow my heart and be true to myself and worry about pleasing God first. And so I'm no longer with that label, but there's no hard feelings, no animosity. I just strive to figure out how to make music work for me independently. And since then, I've done a few things. I have a few collaborative things I have done with Brother Zacharias and the brothers I mentioned earlier, Nadik and Beware. And you know, the Allah is just so merciful and so beneficent. I wanna just share a short little story that happened during the time of me coming into the nation. So, you know, I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, and at this point, I separated from the label, and I needed some kind of financial stability. So I'm looking for a job, and this restaurant was like, "Oh, we're hiring," and I could be a server. I'm like, okay, I could do that. But the thing was, in order to be the server, you also had to be a bartender. And I was like, I can't do that. You know, that goes against my religion, my principles. I can't serve people alcohol. And the lady who owned the restaurant was like, well, you know, it's a 2-package deal, like either that or you can't have the job. And so I went over to my corner with my laptop. I was sitting down and I was talking to Allah, and I said, you know what, I'm going to trust you. Like, I'm not going to compromise on this principle. And I believe that you are sufficient and you'll make a way for me. So I told the lady, I thank you for the opportunity, for the offer, but I have to decline. And she was like, okay, suit yourself. So not even 5 minutes later, I go back to my computer and I'm checking my email, and I received an email for a performance opportunity for a college coming the next month. And I was just like, Allah, I know that was you.
Okay.
Do it. Won't he do it?
I know that was
Yes.
you.
Won't he do it?
That's right. That's right.
Praise be to Allah.
Beautiful, beautiful testimony. I don't know. I'm sitting over here, y'all. First of all, when she first started talking, the eyes started to get water, and I'm like, no, what's happening here? We're not gonna do that. Don't you see this makeup? We're not getting ready to do that. But every time, I mean, Allah just never ceases to amaze me. Every time I hear the testimony of someone, especially someone who's like, I don't even believe in God. And the way he comes in and touches your life and transforms it and makes you into an entirely different being. I mean, it's so beautiful. And I see it, Sister Zodi, all over you.
Sister Mona live, I'll call you back.
Sister Tisa.
Oh, my apologies.
It's okay. It's okay. But to watch her and to hear her voice is like angelic. I mean, really, I'm not exaggerating. Her voice is like angelic. So to see what Allah has done in her life and put her in his garden among the rest of the flowers that he has determined is his is phenomenal. And that just touches my heart. And we're going to share in a little bit. No, go ahead and share now what you, how to follow you on Instagram, because I really want people to understand what I'm saying about it.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So my Instagram page is just my first name, Zewdy, Zewdy. And I'm also on YouTube with that same name. And I want to say that lately, what I've been doing on YouTube every Wednesday, I just have like a little show called Zewdy Zen Zone, where I just give like words of encouragement and enlightenment and try to help people stay on a high vibration during these uncertain and troubling times. And at the end, I always sing a little something. But yeah, that's how you can follow me and keep up with me.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much for that. As Sister Kava would say, I'm sure she's on, I saw her on earlier, a beautiful flower in Elijah's garden. So praise be to Allah. You are definitely a gift to the sisterhood. Who we want to move to next, Sister Naira?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. How did I find it, or how did I come to Islam?
Yeah.
Well, that's a story within itself. Praise be to Allah. So my mother, she remarried from my father, and she married who is now my dad. Well, my dad passed away. However, my mom got remarried, and her husband is my dad. I don't separate with the step and all of that. So he's my dad as well. And he is a Muslim, FOI, of under the first resurrection of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, you know, he real old school, right?
Yeah.
And he brought Islam to our family. Praise be to Allah. He brought Islam to our family. And of course, it was foreign, it was strange. However, I've always been a seeker of knowledge. So the things that he brought to the family, just a different way he prayed, just, you know, not eating pork. He never like imposed that on us. He was just an example. And through his example, I got interested in Islam. Praise be to Allah. So I would be the one out of the 5 children asking a lot of questions. And he never brought out the books of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He would just teach me through the Bible. Right, which was actually good for me because it wasn't like, okay, well, that's what they are saying. He taught me Islam through my own Bible, so it helped me to, and through the encyclopedia, he always like parsed words and derivation. So he took me up in a way that I felt comfortable in learning, but all the while he was indoctrinating me into Islam. Now, as it would have it, you know, of course, you know, when they was in Miami, they finally moved up here. My mom found the study group over in Tampa, and we would visit the mosque or visit the study group over there. And I did not accept Islam at that moment. Well, I don't want to say that I accepted Islam, but I did not join. Okay. However, during a really rough period in my life, I was going through a divorce with my ex-husband. I was pregnant, and I started to withdraw from the family. It was just really hard for me. And my mother and my dad was very concerned. So they called over at that time the student minister, Brother James Muhammad, out of Tampa, Florida, and they were trying to get me counseling. However, now mind you, I'm pregnant, okay? So I was crying so bad, and I just did not want to talk. However, I heard him say this. He said, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches that whatever the woman is going through, that baby is going through it. And he did not want to continue to try to get me to talk. That stuck with me. That was my opening into Elijah's class. I got up from there and I went in the bathroom, and I just remember crying that I didn't want to lose my baby. But no one knew at the time that I didn't want to be pregnant no more. I cried out to Allah, not knowing him as Allah. Okay. So I cried out to him. So that stuck with me. Did not quite join then, but I accepted Islam under the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad at that moment. So fast forward, now I'm divorced, life is going on, and I get remarried. Okay, I'm in my house. My husband has these friends come down from the military. Remind you, I already accepted Islam in my heart. So you asked me, I'm a Muslim. I had this picture of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad up in my house. His friends come down, and somebody asked me, well, who is that? So I said, Jesus. Why I said that, y'all? Why?
Come on. Come on. You told the truth.
Say that and I couldn't defend it. Okay? So they literally ate me up in my house, okay, about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad being Jesus. And that was okay, right? Because that pushed me to go to the study group. I went, it was a Friday night, okay? Look at the divine plan of God, right? That happened. I went to the study group actually to get my dad to come back to beat them, right? With the teachings. And my dad just so happened to be conducting a study group. So the sister invited me in. I only went into the study group to get my dad. But when I sat down to wait for my dad, they were studying who was God, study God 19. From that moment to this one, I have not turned back.
Alhamdulillah.
All praise is due to Allah. So everything that I ever wanted to know from the age of 7 on who is God, I got it answered. So the means, the methods that got me to get that body of knowledge was always divinely ordered. Yes. My steps was divinely ordered. So I thank Allah for the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because I found myself. All praise is due to Allah.
All praise is due to Allah. Thank you so much for that testimony, Sister Naira. I believe, were you getting ready? Did you want to say something, Dr. Tissa?
No, ma'am. I'm just waiting patiently here for you.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and go to you then, ma'am. Look, wait no longer. The question is, how did you come to Islam?
That's a beautiful question. What I'm going to share with you is that I had the honor of watching the Phil Donahue show when I was a child. I was actually raised up in a household of political activists. My father is well known in Toronto, my father and mother, for political activism work. So I had the honor of being raised by two parents who indoctrinated me with the love of Blackness from the womb all the way up. I mean, I was fed Blackness 24/7 in my household. Both my parents, who are now retired educators at the time, my mother was a mathematician and a scientist. My father, a historian, English and geography teacher, and then of course doing the political activism work on the side. So the first time I had a microphone in my mouth, it was for singing when I was 6 years old. And then I was doing it at 7 as a young political activist in front of thousands of people, speaking, calling people to action. They always kept passing the microphone to me as a child. I had the honor in 92 of actually, I think it was around 92, of meeting Nelson Mandela and Winnie Mandela and presenting a speech in front of thousands of people there on behalf of my father. And so my entire youth, from the time I was a child, was in front of cameras, on stage. I even have articles showing me with interviews and everything. And throughout this entire time, I'm going to get back to Phil Donahue and Minister Farrakhan. Even though I was raised up in these different movements, the anti-apartheid movement, doing all sorts of extensive community work, I never really felt like we were getting our point Cross. And I mean, we used to get on sidewalks and boycott this and do all sorts of demonstrations. But in watching the struggle of my father and mother and what they had to go through and contend with our people, I never really felt like we had made much progress as a people. So I already had the seed planted watching Minister Farrakhan with the Phil Donahue Show. That was the dropping of the seed in the mid-'80s. So by the time I saw, and by the way, I love our sister who does the music, because I was engaged in doing a lot of music, and I was a young, rapper. We said rapper back then, not hip hop artist, but I was a rapper back in the 80s. And I would do a lot of political activism pieces as well as singing. So doing that kind of stuff back then sort of charted my way, where I was around a lot of different up and coming artists in that scene in Toronto at the time. And so one of my friends, a brother who I knew who used to be smoking, drinking the last time I saw him, one day I went down to a place called the Eaton Center in downtown Toronto. And it's actually well known because it has all these underground, just to give you a city thing, it has a lot of underground tunnels and pathways. So in the middle of the dead of winter, you can travel all over Toronto with these underground pathways, just to give you a landmark reference. But this brother was out there pushing the Final Call newspaper. And the last time I saw that brother, known then as Brother Scott, he was smoking, drinking. I mean, he was on some stuff. And imagine seeing him well-dressed, clean, and he's pushing the Final Call newspaper. And not only pushing it, but also just something about his demeanor was so awesome. And I remember telling him, I said, man, you look so good. I didn't expect to see you looking this good after so many years. I thought he would have been raggedy because, that's the end of drugs and alcohol. But to see him looking so clean and together, I immediately asked him, and I had read the autobiography of Malcolm X, but I asked him, where are you going? So when he said he's with the nation, I said, well, I'm going to go. So he picked me up, himself and another brother, Ramadeen, and they took us to go to the mosque in Buffalo, New York. And this is in 1989, by the way. When we got in the doors, I sat down, and it just happened that we were at a believers meeting, or a meeting rather, where the minister was actually the person teaching. It wasn't the actual minister of Buffalo. It was Minister Farrakhan actually speaking, and it was over a phone, a live phone feed. So he taught us across the nation in '89 on that particular day that I came, that Sunday. I accepted the teachings at that moment. And my sister captain, Sister Catherine McQueen Muhammad out of Buffalo, she was ready to push me out there. But what shocked them was the way we came dressed. My girlfriend and I came with our heads already covered. And I would want to tell you, sisters, that even before that happened, I noticed that Allah was making me change up the way I was dressing. I wanted to be more modest. Even my boyfriend at the time was kind of confused because I had started wearing really long dresses, and he was trying to figure out what was happening with me. And I just told him I just felt like I wanted to dress with longer clothes and just do it in the middle of summer. Times when you'd be wearing shorts, I just wanted to wear long dresses. So fast forwarding that, I accepted the teachings that night. I was 17, but I refused to fall in at the time. I remember when they were asking me, would you come in? And I said, nah, I'm not ready. I still want to party. You know what I'm saying? So I went back out. And then several years later, I happened to be at college, Oakwood University, in Huntsville, Alabama. And there was a brother, Brother Seth Muhammad, who was walking through. I had made a prayer similar to what that sister's saying for several weeks, asking Allah, who I didn't know as that name, I just knew him as God, to show me his truth and make it so clear to me that I would not be able to deny it. Mm-hmm. And so when I was there walking through campus, I heard final call, and I've never turned around since then. So I fell into the teachings and actually wrote my letter in February 2nd of 1995. I recited, and I've been with the nation ever since then. And it has been a very interesting journey. I, like you, sister, you know, our sister attorney. I have 7 children as well. And I'm a single parent. So it's quite interesting, but I also conduct business. And I will tell you that the teaching and the training that we've been given through the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given me the wings and the inspiration to be able to multitask in so many different areas, because I'm still working on my writings. I'm doing publishing. I'm engaged in medicine. I'm engaged in my business and making products. I have a tea company, the Chakra Teas Company, and other things as well. But I really believe that if I didn't have the discipline given to us through the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the desire to do for self, I would not be where I am at this time. I also want to say one more thing. I was offered a contract in 1992 by Sony to get into, to go down to New Orleans and do a music album for 5 years. My producer at the time really was pushing for it because he lived for this moment. When my parents read the contract, they said the only way that I'd be allowed to go is if one of them were able to go with me. And they stated that, well, since I was 19 at the time, it wouldn't make sense for me to have parents, you know, she's grown. And my parents said, well, she's grown, then she could sign the contract because we're not signing it. And so they dropped the contract I had with Sony. It was actually one of the best decisions they had ever made for myself in life. And to this day, those who know may ask me, well, why didn't you just go ahead and do Sony? You would have had a good life. No, I wouldn't, because if you go and you read the history of these devils, you know, what happened with all of these singers, these other people who they exploited, I probably wouldn't even be alive today.
Wow.
So that was the best decision they ever made.
Wow. Praise be to Allah.
Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Well, we are grateful to Allah that you are here with us, because you are a tremendous asset to our nation and to our people. So we're going to move on over to Sister Sadia. Sister Sadia, please tell us how you came into Islam.
Yes, ma'am. And let me say, it's just an honor and a privilege to be in the ranks with y'all. Just hearing your testimony is so inspiring. And it just, you know, as we talked about the ARC triangle, Sister Naira and Sister Allison, to get more reality and agreement with each other, we're talking about love, right? So it just makes me want to share more space with y'all and be closer. So praise be to Allah. So my journey, okay. You know, I didn't have a quote unquote happy childhood. I grew up in foster care from the age of 5 all the way until I was 18. I was sexually abused as a child. I'm sorry, from the age of 10 to 18. I was sexually abused from the age of 5 to the age of 10. Truth be told, after 10, you know, with no protection for the Black woman or the girl, I was still sexually abused by other people. It just wasn't my stepfather. But I've always been a child that, you know, was always inclined to spirituality, and I was always searching. And I knew that God existed. I just needed him to show up in my life. And so I was always on this journey of searching for Allah or God to manifest himself. And at such a young age, you know, my mother was a Jehovah's Witness. And so we had the Yellow Bible book, and I would read about all the stories. She was a super spiritual person. And I thank Allah for my mother that she put me on the path to spirituality and find myself. Like you, Sister Tisa, my mother was, you know, she was a political activist. She, you know, although she was biracial, she was always in tune to what was going on. And then my father, he was in the military. My biological father was in the military from Louisiana. So he endured some things. But it was when I went to high school, and I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And I connected with that book. And I say all the time that, you know, Malcolm X converted many, or Alex Haley converted many based on the story of Malcolm X. And I was reading the story. I wanted to be a part of that story. I wanted to be a part of following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And this is me at 15. And so I'm knee deep in the church. My foster parents, or foster mother, because she was a single mother, you know, every day, I'm not lying, y'all, every day in the church, When the church doors opened, I was there. I was the president of the Young People's Youth Department. All the church trips I was on. And I knew the Bible, Vacation Bible School. And I wanted to be a minister. But when I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, my whole world opened up. And my foster mother at the time, I had 4 of them, my foster mother at the time, she was very deep into political activism. And she took me to go hear Minister Farrakhan, 1990 at the Coliseum. And I remember the swarm of people to come see this Black man. And I'm like, who is this man? Because I had never heard about Minister Farrakhan ever before in my life until that moment. And I remember we having to go in line on check posts, and the beautiful sisters, they were in white, and they were like angels to me. So I didn't know anything about Minister Farrakhan. I just saw immediately, you see my picture in the back, I saw the sisters doing check posts. They look like they're doing check posts right now. And I was like so mesmerized and hypnotized by the women of the Nation of Islam. And now, mind you, in the back of my mind, I had the story of Malcolm X. So then the Coliseum is this humongous place. And we got some good tickets. I don't know how, through the grace of Allah, he was pointing at me, and he sat me right smack dab in the middle on the floor close to the stage. And I'm looking up to the stage, and I hear all these ministers. I mean, I had never heard people speak in such a manner in my entire life, that my spiritual antennas were just like on overload. What is this? It was like going to a boxing match. And I've been to De La Hoya and Mayweather match, and you could the electricity was in the room. But on this day, the electricity was so full, it was palatable. You could feel it. And then, long live Muhammad, long live Muhammad. And Minister Farrakhan came up. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it right now, y'all.
Yes, that feeling.
Ooh, and I'm like, I don't know who this man is, but long live Muhammad, right with him.
Yes, girl, say it.
Girl, and everybody stood up. And it was like, Takbir. I didn't know what Takbir was. I didn't speak Arabic.
Right.
It didn't matter. But the God in me recognized immediately. I tuned in, and it, the brain is meant to think right. And so immediately it felt like I was at home.
Teach.
And then the minister came on, and this beautiful man, this radiant Black man, and he got up there, and I was the whole time, every word that he spoke, because sometimes I go to events, I'm falling asleep, it's boring, but this man, every word that came out of his mouth was electrifying, and I was connecting with. And I remember when he told the story about his mother trying to abort him. And I was like, as he was and I'm 15 now, as he was telling this story, I was like, what manner of man is this? And so my cousin's friends was there at the time, and they went to another high school. And so they decided that they were going to go to the Monster Study Group on Fridays. So me being knee deep in the church, I'm supposed to be at church, but we sneaking off going to the study groups. Or my foster mama, she was super strict. So, that was like, Islam was heathenism. You going to hell if you even think about anything else but Jesus Christ and Christianity. But my heart was always leaning in that direction. And so when they would come from study group, I couldn't go. So I'm like, tell me, give me some of that supreme wisdom. And then as I got older, I went back into the church. I became an ordained minister in the church. I went to seminary school, y'all. I graduated from law school, but that spiritual component for me, law school was good. I've always been one to advocate for those who couldn't advocate for themselves. That, since the age of 10, that was like, I tell anybody, as hard as and difficult as my life was, becoming a lawyer was the easiest thing because I had my mind made up. And it was because of my sexual abuse that I wanted to be able to speak for those who couldn't speak for themselves. And so Allah had put me in a position, and I didn't know, being a lawyer was just only the beginning. But my desire to become a minister and to minister to those who needed help, that was even stronger than me wanting to be a lawyer. And so I was like, well, who told me I couldn't be a minister? Who told me I couldn't go to seminary school? So I decided to fill out the application. I was like 28 years old. And I was a professor at Texas Southern University as well, teaching criminal law classes. But I was like struggling wanting to go to seminary school. So I'm teaching classes during the day, and I'm also going to seminary school during the nighttime. But we are from the South, right? And we know how Southern Baptist Christians can be as it concerns women. Like, we can be seen, but not heard.
Mm-hmm.
And as Allah would have it, he put me in the Southern Baptist seminary school, but then he put me in a preaching class where I was the only woman. And it was strange that I was the only woman, like, out of 60 people, because I wasn't supposed to be there. Like, the curriculum does not allow women to be there, but some kind of way allow me to be in this class. And at that time, I had changed my own last name because I wasn't in Islam yet, y'all. But I knew that I was going to be in Islam. And I knew that as Sadia, I chose the name Sadia for myself in 2004. As being a lawyer, I went down to the courthouse. I was able to fill out the paperwork. And when I look at the date that the order was signed, y'all, I didn't know nothing about Savior's Day, but it said February 26, 2004. Okay.
Come on now.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah. So I'm in seminary school in this class, this preaching class, and the professor, he just some kind of way he took to me. I think he didn't even know I wasn't supposed to be in the class. So this is a theoretical. So of course I made my 100. Then it's time to go to the lab, to where now it's time you got to go out there and you got to preach. So the classes are a little bit smaller because about 30 people and everybody needed their time to go and do their sermon. And in this seminary school, you have popular ministers here in Houston, with their mega churches. And I was, so when I got into class, everybody started looking at me like, oh, hell no, you don't belong here. So then I started hearing rumors and whisperings. But mind you, I'm studying the teachings on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, y'all. I'm sneak studying these teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm watching Minister Farrakhan tapes. I'm hearing him talk about the love for Jesus and the 4 Jesuses, So I'm like between two worlds trying to figure out how to bring them together. And then my day job, I had a bunch of jobs, y'all. I'm in politics. I was a chief of staff for a local council member. And our minister here, Minister Abdul Halim, was, he was in politics as well. So he was coming down the city of Houston talking to me about some city contracts. And I knew he was the minister of the mosque, because when I was working for another congresswoman, I would see him with his FOI uniform. And so I just kind of snuck to him. And I said, how you become a Muslim? He's like, well, you just have to be yourself and accept your own. I say, what? I didn't believe that. It was too easy. It was too easy, y'all.
That is easy.
It was too easy. He said, that's it. That's all. So I was like, okay, nah, I can't do it. Because being in the church, it was that leap of faith of disappointing my family, of disappointing all the people who looked up to me, the minister, that I was, the pastor that I was under, and everything that I heard about Islam. I was just torn between the two worlds. But in that preaching class, they boycotted me, y'all.
Wow.
They said that if I got up there and preached my lecture, my sermon, they all were going to walk out. And it was a big ruckus at the school.
Wow.
And mind you, my lecture at the time was, who was going to minister to the minister? Elijah under the juniper tree. Girl, let me tell y'all. That my professor called me that morning I never forget. I was ready, y'all. I had prayed. I had fasted. I was ready. And he said, Sadia, I'm sorry, but you can't do your lecture today. You can't do your sermon. I was like, why? And he told me I was never supposed to be in the class. I said, yes, sir. He gave me 100. I didn't care about it. But the next semester they had a class and it was on Islam. And I was like, woohoo, Islam. No, it wasn't no woohoo Islam. It was about how it was the propaganda and the hate against Islam. And at that moment, I was like, I can't do it. I can't live in both worlds and be fake.
Right, right.
So in December of 2006, I decided that I was going to go to the mosque, because I was already sneak going to the mosque anyway, y'all. Meeting the believers, connecting with the believers. At that time, I had custody of my nephew, who's my son now. So I sent him to MUI. And you know, the sisters there, y'all know how y'all do, always trying to bring in the fish, putting that bait on there.
Right,
so
right.
I'm sitting with the director of MUI, and she just teaching about these teachings, and my heart is getting fuller and fuller and fuller. And I'm seeing how they handling my Black son, you know, because he got kicked out of nurse daycare because they said he was bad. How you be bad at 2 years old? But she handled him. But she handled him in such a way to see the God in him.
Yes.
And so when they started trying to teach the hate of Islam, I knew I couldn't be a part of that. And then I decided to be myself and accept my own. And I decided to go to the mosque and stand up. And mind you, when I stood up, you know, I did have my knee-high boots on. I did have my little skirt on because I didn't have the knowledge of myself. I thought I was doing good as a Christian, y'all. I thought I was doing damn good as a Christian. But I didn't know that I was living a foolish life. And I still love my brothers and sisters in Christianity. But now I see the Bible different. I see the Bible for what it is, and I see us in the Bible. And at that moment, I know that I made the best decision in accepting Islam and accepting these teachings. Because when I tell you my life, although my life was good at the time, I thought, 180 degrees, Allah, because I accepted Islam, my whole life opened up exponentially into a place where I would have never imagined I would be where I am. And I'm grateful for that. Yeah. So that's testimony.
Wow, powerful, powerful. It's amazing, like when I hear testimonies of how people, you know, come in. Some of it is very, you know, difficult. It's a hard task. Some people have to, you know, search it out a little bit. It's interesting for me. When I heard, I was in Mississippi at the time, and really quickly, I missed it. Like Donna Louis Farrakhan was coming to Jackson, Mississippi, and I was very newly pregnant, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks pregnant. And, you know, that period, I was nauseous, just, you know, and someone invited me out to hear Donna Louis Farrakhan. Well, by this time, my friends had gotten in my ear, and all of the stuff that people think about Islam, you know, they don't know anything. Oh, they hate white people. They don't even eat white sugar. They hate white people so bad. I'm telling you, these are the things that they don't even eat white flour. That's how much they hate white people, right? It was all about white people. Oh, and he teach so long. Like this man teach a very long time. So when the person invited me was like, so are you going? And I was like, are you kidding me? I'm not getting ready to go sit down and listen to nobody talk for hours at a time. I'm not getting ready to do it. And so every time I think about that, it's hilarious to me because now I sit down for hours and hours and hours, and I love every minute of it.
That's right.
Praise be to Allah. And actually, after he left, went to the mosque on a Wednesday night and accepted off of a tape. I was like, oh yeah, that right there. And didn't even have to think about it. And always equated to Allah calling my name, Allah saying, okay, Allison, it's time. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. It's time. So as we go into the next portion, such a beautiful testimony. Just all of my light workers, all of my healers, as we continue with the show, just take a moment to expand your energy for me so we can clear out the space a little bit, so we can allow openings that need to be open for people to move and transition and do and go where they need to go and be. And we will thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. So I needed to shift for me and some others. So thank you, thank you. What a beautiful testimony. I want to know, this time I'm going to start with you, Sister Saidiya, how Islam, because clearly, I mean, I know it by watching you, is infused in everything that you do. You're not just an attorney. And being fortunate enough to even work on some things with or for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, the way you show up in the world, I mean, a person's life is truly blessed. And I know, but others may not know, it's the beauty of that Islam. It's the spirit of God that's infused in you that everybody gets a chance to get, that interact with you. So if you could share with us how Islam has affected your business, like how you interact with the outside world.
That's right. So, you know, Sister Naira, you talked about how you went to the study group looking for your daddy and you really found your father.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened to me. I actually found my father and I say that in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And because I really didn't have any male figures or strong male figures in my life who weren't trying to abuse me. And it was the first time that you had this man who lifted women up and helped women heal, and me, myself. And he introduced us. Now, you know, I don't know if I can talk about this, but he introduced us to a healing modality that helped get rid of those pains and those injuries and those hurts that had been inflicted upon us as a people and upon me as a person. And when he introduced the healing modalities to us, immediately I knew that I wanted to partake in it because I knew that I had to get some work done on me because I wanted to help serve. I've always been a servant, you know, but I wanted to serve on a bigger capacity. And what I realized being in the Nation of Islam and having these teachings, you have a certainty level that actually goes up. And I became more confident in who I am, unapologetically. And I recognized that my power was in my Islam. You know, I'm not just in Islam, you know, but Islam is in me and I'm of Islam, and knowing that it is a faith of peace. And knowing that regardless of what the Black propaganda says about Islam, the true Islam is about peace. And that's what I wanted in my life. But then, you know how when you get something good, you always want to give it to somebody else and you want to share it. That, you know, it's like, I'm such a giver in that capacity to the point sometimes I hurt my own self. I give it all away and I have to remember to give it back to myself. But I realized that I am more powerful in being who I am. And because, you know, unalike attracts, and because of the power of being an MGT, Muslim Girl Training in our General Civilization class, you know, even in the Christian world, they think I'm a nun, okay? They know that I'm a woman of God. Mm-hmm. And so because I know that I'm a woman of God and I walk accordingly and my atmosphere is as if it's such, then I am the bait. Yes. You know, I am the book. You know, the Christians always talk about if, you know, they don't know nothing about Jesus, but you are a reflection of who that Jesus is.
Come on now.
And so I'm always striving to be that reflection of who Jesus is, you know, staying tapped in and tuned in. And, you know, again, I'm unapologetic about my Islam because I know that I have to be an example and I know how to speak the language. Allah allowed me to be that type of person to be able to speak the language of my Christian and brothers and sisters and our Muslim brothers and sisters and bridge that gap. And then going through the healing modality that I talked about, that the minister introduced us to, now I don't have all the muck and the mire that was holding me back because of all the things that I have done or that was done to me. Now I can reach for my brothers and sisters who are down there, even though they don't want to be reached for. Let me tell you that. You know, we are hard and we are difficult people, but I'm going to still reach for my brothers and sisters. And then this season, y'all, let me tell you something. Death has surrounded us. Oh my God. It is so deep and thick in my universe right now. And what I'm finding is because of what Allah has introduced to us through the teachings and through the minister, it didn't matter if I was a Muslim. It doesn't matter. People want some type of relief. And I can't tell you how many people that I've been helping through that particular modality to help people overcome their grief that they've been dealing with because of death. And it's like, I can't even escape it, y'all. But Allah blessed us to be in these positions that we're in, Sister Tisha, you know, because we're saviors. The reality is we are saviors, whether we wear a headpiece or we don't wear a headpiece.
That's right.
And so we've been given these tools, the supreme wisdom, we've been given these teachings, and we've been given the light because we are, you know, light workers. And so people don't, when they need healing, they don't care about this. They want some immediate relief. But when they see this, they know that God is with us.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. You know, I believe I want to go over to Sister Zodi, because the way that she shows up in healing, we know that the new religion, if you will, music, science, color, all of that of the highest vibration. So I'm really excited about Allah infusing his love through you and how it comes out in your art. So can you tell us just what that's like and how you do that as it relates to Islam affecting you as an artist?
Yes, ma'am. Man, I keep asking Allah, please help me to get everything out, because I feel like there's so much about the impact that Islam has had in my life, and I don't want to leave out anything really important. I want to say that when I wrote my letter to the Savior, I wrote it on July 4th, 2016, which was actually my 26th birthday. And that day I prayed Fajr prayer. I watched the majesty of Master Father Muhammad's love. I was cleaning, I fasted, and I cut all my hair off. And I prayed again and asked Allah to please accept me into his nation. And I wrote my letter, and praise be to Allah, it was accepted the first time. So I just wanted to put that out there. It was a very powerful time. And I wanted to make sure that my expression of music was genuine, was authentic, and divinely inspired, and, you know, not forced, not contrived. And praise be to Allah, I have been able to come up with some things that help to express Islam through my own experience. I have a song that I wrote. I don't know if it's complete yet, but I have a particular song that is called Sister. And the way that song came together, it was like, it just came it was like it was channeled. I didn't have to like think about it. I was actually collaborating with a sister who's not a Muslim, but a beautiful sister that I met in my journey in life. And through our conversations, she sent me a little idea that she had. And when I heard it, I took the recording that she sent me and I chopped it up to make a track. And then I just sung on it. And after I sung the main verse and hook, then I started adding harmonies and things, because I love harmonies. I love backgrounds. I feel that naturally I'm very gifted with that sort of thing. And this song really expresses my journey in this world, and I would like to sing it if that's okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna show you how God work, y'all, because my thought was, well, not my thought, obviously, was like, have Sister Zodi to say something, whether it's spoken word or music, as it relates to sisterhood.
Wow.
Well, I got distracted, and I did not reach out to Sister Zodi and say, hey, on the show, I want you to say something as sing or spoken word or something that deals with sisterhood. So yes, beloved, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. Praise be to Allah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I just felt that it's most appropriate because it's just so real, and so many women and girls, particularly the original woman and girl, but all women and girls, I'm sure, could relate from being affected by this world. So this is Sister. When you don't know who you are, it's easy to fall. See, you don't think much of yourself at all, and it's not your fault that somebody lied to you about what you are worth, when you are more valuable than the wealth of the earth. We've got to unlearn these corrupt ways. So please believe me when I say, sister, friend of mine, you don't know that you're divine. You're hurting now, but soon you'll find out of darkness will come light.
Beautiful.
Alhamdulillah.
Wow.
Alhamdulillah.
Wow.
Didn't I tell you she sounds like an angel?
Yes.
I told
Yes.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Oh, Allah. Thank you so much, Sister Zodi. I told you she's a beautiful flower in Elijah's garden.
Yeah.
There she is. There she is.
Thank you. And when I know we're probably, I think it's safe to say everybody on the line here on the Zoom is older than you, Sister Zodi. And when I think about our sisters, and that's on the line today, I'm thinking, saints, scholars, healers, and all of the aspects of what women bring to Islam. But when I look at Sister Zodi and that pureness, and I know in your mind, you might say, pure, no, ma'am, nah. But Allah has touched you. And for you and every sister like you, we will bring out the sword. And I wanted to say that so we won't have no misunderstanding. There's a lot in Allah's army. And I'm sure our brothers feel the same way. We will protect the women of God and their virtue and their right to grow up in a righteous environment. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you for that love that you just gave to us. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Thank you. Oh, I just wanted to say, Allah has delivered me from so many things, and I thank you for your perception, because I want to be of the purified ones, and I strive to be a, a righteous, virtuous woman. And you know, I used to smoke and drink for like almost a third of my life, honestly, like 9 years. I'm 30 now. And that was a difficult struggle for me because of the pain and just trying to cope with life and not having God. And you know, wanting to be good but not really knowing what, like, not having the strength and not having the guidance and the spiritual foundation. It's like I was lost in this world trying to figure it out. And you know, I pray that my example can be something that will help women and young girls when they see me. Because I don't want people to think I just fell from heaven, because that's not the case.
Come on now.
I came out the mud just like everybody else. So I'm just so thankful to be able to share my journey and my testimony. And I pray that it can inspire others who may be struggling and searching spiritually to look this way, because there ain't nothing else out there. There's nothing out there in this world. And it's interesting because when I was in processing, there were actually some sisters that were processing with me who knew me from YouTube, because people really like recognized me on the street and things like that, because I was really big on there. And these sisters were like, "Oh my God, are you Zodi from YouTube?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "I didn't know you were a Muslim." I'm like, "Neither did I."
Okay.
Yeah, and even for Muslims who were born and raised, I pray that I could help inspire them and encourage them, because I lived in this world and I know ain't nothing out there for us. It might seem attractive, it might seem tempting and fun, but it's nothing but heartache and pain and poison and death in this world. And Islam truly has saved my life. And my father, who's not religious, he's thankful that I'm a Muslim, because he could see that it impacted my life so positively and powerfully. I remember when I first started really studying and applying, and I would visit my family who all live in New Jersey and New York. My dad was like, "There's like a peace about you, there's something that's different." And I was like, "It's Islam."
Yes.
And when I meet people, oftentimes they tell me that I have a glow and that my vibes are so high. And I'm like, that is Islam. I can't take the credit. It's Islam that has really enlivened that in me, that has sparked it in me. And, I don't hesitate to let people know it's Islam, the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, under the leadership and guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Like,
come on.
I can't take any credit for anything any good that you see of me is from them. That's it.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. And I wanted to say, sis, your sisterhood is deep. Deep, right? This is a sisterhood that's deep, internationally, all over the world, universal. So you got sisters all over this planet. And that's for all, like Sister Sadia said, even if you don't know where it is, right? Even if the sisterhood is deep. And this is what I was really trying to, striving to get over to the viewers. Women who, when Allah, God, whatever you call him, when he touches your heart, your life is totally transformed. And we just wanted to give you an example today of what that looks like for some of us. And we're not just, and to dispel some of the myths, we walk 10 feet behind me. I mean, really, just all kind of myths that's out there. We stay at home, we don't have careers. We are not multifaceted. Music, you have on here an artist, a doctor, an attorney, spiritual healer, coaches. So, that is really what I wanted to get across to everybody. It looked like Sister Naira dropped, so she'll be joining us soon, coming back to us soon. Dr. Tissa, so I'll go to you, and I want to, and this is the last question for next to the last question. I want you to tell how Islam affects you and your business, how that shows up in your business. And also, it was one more. And what advice would you give to women who, whatever advice you would like to give, like on life in general or in business, what would you tell our sisters?
You know, what I want to say, first of all, is I want to reiterate how honored I feel to be on this show. Just listening to all of you, Sister Sadia, Sister Zodi, listening to you, Sister Allison, our other sister, Naira. It is such an inspiration to me. And I, like you, Sister Zodi, I want to make sure I do not forget to make mention of certain things. I'm noticing there's a tie here. There's a thread that's interwoven in our lives. Because just like you, Sister Sadia, I was also sexually abused, but I was not abused by my father, but certain male members of my family and other things that had occurred. And so I think that being given the opportunity to have what we are given through this healing the minister offered us, I was able to get my monkey off my back when I was 36. And my life it's never been the same since. And the beauty of going through experiences like that, they've actually turned into blessings for me.
Yes.
I've been able to look at all of the pain I've suffered in my life, which has been tremendous. Because when you are raised up in a politically active household, you don't realize how much infiltration there is with the secret services, let's just say it like that. And so a lot of your friendships are deliberately on purpose put in your life, as well as relationships. So you always, initially you don't know it, but you learn to gauge fakeness from realness. And I can really truly say when I'm listening to each of you, I see the realness of your spirit and your true love, and your story interweaves with my own. You ask how Islam is reflective in the work I do. I first have to say, first of all, even having this interview is nerve-wracking for me, because anytime I come before us, it's very, very, very uncomfortable for me. Only because I want to be careful with what I say and how I say it, and make sure that it's not me speaking, but it's God speaking through me. And I would say the same from my work. What a lot of people are not aware of is back in 2003, I was poisoned by a very close relationship, a sister who I thought was a sister in Islam with me. I was in the position of sister in charge in Toronto at the time. And this particular individual became very close to myself and my family. And so what ended up happening during the course of that entire year of my position and also my interaction with this individual was that certain things were brought into my home, given to me, presented as gifts. And it caused my children, at the time I had 4, I had just had my 4th baby. My son was now just turned 18, but, 17, but I had my 4 babies at the time. And during that whole time, I was watching my children turn from a certain way and started noticing them acting very strangely, even blanking out in school. I myself was having very strange, foggy memory. Things were happening to me. And long story short is eventually it came to light that we were being poisoned. And they were actually trying to set up my ex-husband at the time, who we had separated. So they were trying to set him up and put it on him. How do I know? Because Allah showed me after, when everything was revealed, he showed me the entire plot from start to finish. and the players. It was not easy because I had lost all the knowledge I'd had acquired from my exemplary education at Oakwood College, now Oakwood University, which, by the way, I have some in common with you, Sister Sadia, because I was given a 100, an absolute A in my religion class, because at the time, I'm well studied on that Bible, and I've been reading my Bible since I was 6. I was raised up in a very spiritual household. Pastors, I mean, I got everybody in my family. My family is Seventh-day Adventist, predominantly. So you can only imagine when you're sitting among pastors and they want to challenge you about Jesus. I mean, we've had some amazing discussions, I will tell you that much. But the last time they really challenged me, I asked them to prove to me that Minister Farrakhan was not who he said he is. And if they could show me anybody who's doing any better or anywhere closer to Jesus, I'll follow them.
Come on now.
To date, they've shown me nobody. Okay, so that argument is over, and they have left me the hell alone. I'll say it like that. But I'm going to get back to that discussion. So the poisoning happened, but everything that I had learned in my education, including sentences, the use of words, the meaning of words, I lost everything. When my family and I went through this dilemma, I couldn't even put a proper sentence together. It wasn't until February the 29th, 2004, the minister came to the Salam restaurant, and within 5 minutes of having a discussion with him, I could actually speak.
Wow.
Just hugging me and talking to me, I could speak. So people can say what they like about that man. I could tell you about Jesus.
Come
through
on
my own
now.
personal experience. After that, I learned how to not be so boastful, because sometimes you have education and you become boastful. You think it's all about you and all the books you read and all the other stuff you did. But imagine when Allah wipes your mind clean and you have nothing to fall on. That happened to me. I lost every bit of education I had been given, including the natural education. I lost everything, every single thing. And to have nothing and to be graduated and, or graduating at that time actually, which God, thank Allah, I made it through with His will. I was able to graduate in November, of 2004. I graduated. But with what I graduated, it was really mercy, I have to tell you. I don't know how I was able to make it through that final year, considering that I had lost my memory. So it was a major struggle. People just thought it was stress. They didn't know what had really happened because I hid what had occurred with my family. I even pretended that I was suffering with postpartum. Anything to hide what had already occurred. I had consulted with Minister Ava at the time after it had happened. She had told me, don't go back to Toronto. So I stayed down south in Alabama for a minute, went back up and just re-assimilated myself and lived in Niagara Falls, away from Toronto, just to kind of re-engage myself, my family, and heal. Fast forwarding, everything that I say from that point forward, I have to put 100% on Allah. Anything I've done with medicine, I have to put 100% on Allah. I know absolutely nothing. And some people try to correct me and say, oh, yes, you do. He works through you. And I have to tell them, no, I don't, because I lost everything that I had acquired. And when I look at a patient, when I conduct a study, because Allah forced me to shut my mouth and stop being arrogant off of the white man's knowledge, so to speak, and He forced me to study under Him and His insight, I take no credit. So even now, whenever I deal with my patients, I have to call on Allah. Before I do and conduct any interview and assessment, I have to call on Him. And I'm getting emotional. But it's the truth. You know, when I graduated initially, I remember, you know, you want to tell people you're a doctor, but I was never ever proud of being able to say it because I had nothing to show for it because I lost. everything. I've noted in the last 5 years that people want to say Dr. Tissa. They want to refer to me as that. Even my close friends who I've known for years, people I grew up with, Dr. Tissa, Dr. Tissa. And I keep trying to tell people, Sister Tissa. But they keep telling me, no, I want to say Dr. Tissa because you helped me and my family. You've done so much. And I correct them. I've done nothing. Only Allah has done it for you. Any information I have on your case, it happened. I want to say that COVID-19 has been very unique for me. I've had a lot of patience I've acquired. And I've only started using the word patient this year because before I didn't feel that I could. But he gave me permission to use the word patient. So my patients that I've now acquired since COVID have all been elderly. Many of them have been on multiple medications, very, very ill. The first one who I really went to was suffering with liver failure, and she had been denied entry and access to the hospital. It is only because they turned her away, because she's 80, she was 86 years old. It is only because they turned her away that I've actually gotten the opportunity to work with this woman. And since April, they introduced me to her to date, up until today. This woman has been taken off of 10 medications, and she's only on one medication, which is insulin, which she takes only as needed at night. And I have other patients as well, whom Allah has really blessed me to help. But when I saw that woman with the liver failure, I had to call to God. I saw her, I knew she was dying. Everything was poor about her health. But when I called on him, I said, Allah, you know, only through you, I can help this woman. Use your knowledge and your wisdom to help me, to help her. If you intend for her to die, help me to give her a life that will be painless so she can pass in peace, correcting everything on this plane so she can properly cross. But if you intend for her to live, I want you to give me, charter her health journey and help me to help her. This woman is alive today. She's jumping in and out of bed. She's thoroughly cognizant, thoroughly healthy. And because of her, it's actually spread, and I've received so many more patients. I want to also say on that note, and I thank Allah for that. Allahu Akbar. I want to speak about marijuana. I heard the sister talk about drinking and everything. I want to also announce that last year, my son was poisoned. Someone had spiked his marijuana. My children were raised up as Muslims, but you know, our children, in order to be real Muslims and to really know Allah, they got to go down a journey. And sometimes it's very painful to watch them have to go down these journeys that you know are failures. But I really had to let go because Allah, when I was carrying my son, told me that this boy one day would be one of the greatest ministers that ever lived. And I thank him for saying that, because when I watched his life go topsy-turvy, it was very painful and it was frightening. So when my son came home, he was out of his mind. He had been deemed to be drug-induced psychosis. That's what they stated he was. This beautiful child who I had raised was violent. He was threatening. We had to hide every knife in the house, anything that looked like a knife. I got some African spears and different things here. Every single one of those things went missing. I couldn't put it out, in my house. And the long story short is that prior to that, I had prayed to Allah when they legalized marijuana to help me, because I knew what was coming down the pathway, to help me to help those families to overcome the addiction and the psychosis and everything else that would happen. So I never at any time during that prayer thought it would be my own family that would suffer first. So my suffering, and I'm not pretending, 8 months I went through absolute living hell watching my baby. I finally, at the end, it was like watching a scene from a movie. you know, New Jack City. I watched my baby as a drug addict, fiending for some drugs. I've never used alcohol or drugs myself. So you can only imagine what it looks like when you see your own child fiending. But I'm here to tell you, family, that during that time, I stopped hiding what was happening in my house. And I started to talk to people, my clients and other people, about what I was going through and asking people to pray for me. People who couldn't afford my services, I told them, just pray for the healing of my family. And then Allah bought me 2 months ago a gift. And it didn't come from a Black person. It came from a white man, a Scientologist. I gotta say that too, who I had developed a lot of respect for. We had developed really mutual respect based on how he had helped various people I knew, and his support even with my business, referring people to my customers and everybody else. Really, really exceptional individual. So I reached out to him and I asked him, I said, I know you all know what to do, and you have a really good program. I need you to help me to get my son off these drugs and get my son's life back in order, because this boy's supposed to be an engineer. And my son was advancing in his career. Very young, he started just doing so many things. You can only imagine when you see a child go downhill, his own vehicles crashed, all these things because of envy of these people he was hanging out with. So he brought back something to me. And family, I'm here to tell you that as of this morning, when I checked in on him, my son is back to his absolute 100% clear mind. He is perfectly sane. Not only is he perfectly sane, but we did it without using any drugs, any antipsychotic medications whatsoever. My son is so clear and so himself. He's working on music. He's even cleaning up the stuff he's doing. I mean, he's back. He's back. Not only is he back, but because people saw the struggle with him from the psychotic person who was like an animal, who was enraged, the killer, and they've seen him now cleaned up, refreshed, just transformed. I've now opened up another leg in my business, which is dealing with mental illness, restoration with mental illness. And it's not just mental illness, people who have brain damage, severe brain damage, anything that you're suffering with in that regard, low self-esteem, suicidal thoughts, all of this, there are solutions that have been known about, that have been hidden from us as a people, but we have access to it. And you can feel free to reach out to me so we can get you your own. And that's how Islam, sister, has helped me. The teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when you trust in Allah, you move yourself out the equation. I know you do it, Sister Sadia. I know you're doing it, Sister Zodi. I know you're doing it, Sister Naira, Sister Allison. When we move ourselves out of the way and we stop saying it's me, it's me, it's me, and you start saying it's him, it's him, it's him, then Allah makes more room for you to be this, whatever title people want to give you. I don't take it, because at the end of it, the greatest healer, the greatest doctor, the greatest is Allah.
Yes. Yes.
Advice to sister.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Allahu Akbar, please forgive me. And I want to say advice to women, advice to believers. Seek refuge in Allah, in everything you do. Know that your life, your journey is all sacrifice. It is to bring honor and glory to Him and Him alone. You may receive some of that praise, but just toss it back up to Him.
Yes.
The shoulders are not that strong, and your arms are too short to box with God. Let Him take His praise. Don't fight with God. You didn't do a damn thing. Stop moving. Stop trying to put yourself in that way. When I say that, some people think, oh, it's ego. It's a weird thing how people think when you want to remove things from you. Oh, you're doing, or you're fiending what? Listen, when you know God, and I faced death twice.
Come on.
Poisoning. When you've known God and you have crossed over and everything was against you, and He gives you the ability to extract you from death and bring you back to life, which He did for me 11 years ago, and have me open my eyes in a new mind, in a new thought, in a new process. I chose from that day forward that I would work and only give him solely all the praise. That includes in everything you do, from your relationships, woman, men. Do not put anybody ahead of God. Do not worship
Come
anybody.
on.
Do not, I don't care if it's your husband. You know how to take care of your husband. Sisters, we know it was all about who? Allah, the God. That's the first
right.
husband that you got to cultivate a relationship with. And for brothers, that's the first wife. It is only solely Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one else. I don't put anybody above Allah in regards to my business. I don't care how powerful you are. I've had the honor of meeting some amazing individuals, even clients of mine, who are celebrities. And guess what? I don't put anything they do above what he does, because everything that we see manifested in a person had to come through Allah.
Come on.
So my best advice to you is, if you don't know, and if you think you know everything, know you know nothing, and know that you will continue to know nothing, and you will only know everything.
Come on. Come on. That's the
the
formula right there. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Tisa. What a powerful, powerful living testimony. And definitely took us right into, or taking us right into, Sister Naira in closing us out with this question, and then we'll have closing remarks. It's beautiful, but I want to say one thing before we bring Sister Naira on. Let me show you how Allah works and his timing and bearing witness to us all being threaded together. I'm sure you heard it in the words that we spoke, but I noticed it when we first came on with the clothing that we all have on right now. So you see Sister Sadia and I in green. You see Sister Tisa in, if you look at her necklace, it has green in it, and then the color also coincides with Sister Naira's headpiece. And then Sister Naira's shirt also coincides with Sister Sadia's brooch that she's wearing. And if you look closely at Sister Zodi, what she has on has every color that all of us have. Beautiful. It always gives us an indicator that, hey, I am present.
Look, we didn't coordinate. We didn't talk to each other.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
we didn't. So even with Sister Naira was saying, I almost put on that green. No, you put on exactly what Allah needed for you to put on for today. And I'm sure that we have blessed the hearts and the minds of the viewers who are listening to us right now. And I'm sure you all can see your lives intertwined in our story as well, and how Allah, God, has blessed you. So Sister Naira, could you please tell us how Islam shows up in the way that you do your work, how you do your work, and any advice that you would give to someone as well?
Yes, ma'am. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you so much for the question. But before I can get started, I just want to thank each and every one of you. Like, my heart is very humbled. I'm not like a person that really cry a lot in front of people, but right now I'm literally fighting back the tears. Okay, I'm literally like fighting them back because I see the majesty of Almighty God Allah, you know, and how he has touched each and every one of us on this line to reflect him, you know, to shine his light through us. So as I think about Islam and how it has affected my life and how it has impacted my life, I think about the light and the love of God. I think about, even in this moment, I am experiencing the majesty of Master Fard Muhammad. In this moment, I'm experiencing him right now, and I'm experiencing him through you. As a young girl coming up, being the oldest of 5 children, you know, I always desired to have sisters, older sisters. I have sisters, and I'm very close, very extremely close with my sisters, but I was always the oldest, right? But Allah gave me a brotherhood and a sisterhood through the nation of Islam. we are taught that our unity is more stronger than an atomic bomb. So to be able to unite through the hearts, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say your heart is, that's not this heart, your mind.
Yes.
Is where the seat of your emotions is the seat of your emotions, where thought is produced. So right now I'm experiencing the majesty of God's thought process coming through each and every one of you that's speaking. So Islam, how it has affected my life, it has helped me to understand my value as a Black woman. It has helped me to understand the process of love coming from God Himself. That process of love is being able to love the Black woman.
Yes.
Because I came through a process of this thing called life that has been very painful. But the one thing that Islam helped me to eradicate is that hatred of self. Islam, the Nation of Islam, has taught me how to love the Black woman. Going from a state of existence of violence, because I came up in a domestic violent home. I came up, as we all have our story, I came up through the rape, molestation process, rape. I came up through that. But how did I express the resentment, the anger, the things that I didn't know about? It was through violence and fighting the Black woman physically. So this Islam has helped, has and is cultivating me up into the woman. As a matter of fact, let me just really say how I see it, the little girl of God.
Yes.
I am His daughter, His little girl, and I take pride in saying that. And in that, I recognize myself in my sisters. The beauty of God in my sisters. So I take that to say, and I grew up in the church too, you know, Jesus came to wipe away our tears.
Yes.
And through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, those inner tears that I never got an opportunity to shed. He, Farrakhan, is wiping them tears away from me. So I can take that and put that love that has been poured into me. It is being poured into me, and I can reciprocate that love and take it and put it back into another human being. In particular, the Black woman. That's a process. And it is still a process to continue to embrace the majesty of Allah to give it back. How does it relate into my business? I know that our pain is universal when it comes to the struggle of the Black man and woman all over the planet Earth. But when it comes to the Black man and woman in America, our struggle and what we've gone through in understanding the mind is a particular type of different process than any other Black person on the planet had to go through when you think about us and our breaking process. So the Nation of Islam has helped me to, and is helping me to understand that. So I thank Allah because the Honorable Minister, let me say this, I'm very smart by Allah's permission. I'm very intelligent by Allah's permission. I could have gone to any university in this world and excelled very high by Allah's permission, but Allah put me in His university.
Come on.
He has given me His degrees.
Come on.
MFM is behind my name.
Come on.
HM is behind my name. Farrakhan is
I
behind
like that.
my name. Those are the letters of degrees that's behind my name, Nayyirah, which means shining, illuminous, bright and brilliant. All praises due to Allah. So when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called us spiritual physicians, oh, wait a minute, y'all don't think y'all heard that part. When he called us spiritual physicians, and he said, God will send saviors. My heart and my mind, by Allah's permission, has accepted that assignment.
Yes.
So when he, by Allah's permission, called me his star, I am taking, by Allah's permission, taking that light of love, putting it back into the repair of the Black family. Because the Black woman and Black man in America, the Black family is in need of repair. And we are, and we have been gifted the technology of Dianetics and Scientology. And I am using that technology to help heal the minds and protect the minds of our people, because there's an open enemy as we speak right now that has a plot for the minds when it comes to the psychiatry industry for the Black man and woman.
Right.
So I thank Allah for being a spiritual physician. I thank Allah for the love that He has allowed me to find within myself. The love of God, that I can actually give that love back in the purest sense by channeling His love through me. I'm a willing vessel.
Yes.
Every day, I beg Allah to let me have His mind, His heart, His spirit. I beg Allah to let me have the mind, the heart, the spirit of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I beg Him, literally, for the mind, the heart, and the spirit of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I totally, by the grace of Allah, put forth the effort to deny myself and follow them. So when you see Sister Nayyirah and you see the work that only God is doing through me, it's only because, or any good that comes out of that, it's only because I have literally begged Him to bring forth His light, which is His love, to help repair the Black family. So thank you so much for allowing me to speak, to share, the gift of love back to you, each and every one of you on this line, back to the listening audience. I thank you so very much, and I'm very humbled. And I thank Allah for allowing me to go from the process of victim to victory.
Yes. From
test to testimony.
Come on.
From mess to messenger.
Yes.
Thank Allah for this process. And I'm willing and able to sacrifice my time, my energy, my finances to help my people. Last but not least, when you repair the Black family, you repair humanity.
That's right. That's right.
You repair the Black woman, you repair humanity. You repair the Black man, you repair the father of civilization.
Come on.
So we just got to keep uniting by our hearts.
By our hearts. That is,
So
that,
I
that
thank
is
you so
definitely the
very
key.
much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Naira. You know, you all, and I'll close with this. I've studied under a lot of, well, I wouldn't say a lot, a couple, a few. I've studied under a few masters. And I put that in quotation because they actually were called masters. You know, when you perfect a certain area of life, they call you a master in that field. And mine was in spirituality and, of course, of healing. And only reason being is because I did not go deep enough within our teachings. I could not find it as it relates to spiritual healing or tuning in. A person that does spiritual readings, I couldn't figure out where that was in our teachings. I couldn't get it at first. And it wasn't our teachings, it was me. I just couldn't see it. So I've studied under all of these masters. And one thing that came to mind that shifted my whole world, studying under such masters gave me access to not only a sacred teaching, but an ancient one. So yes, those teachings have power. They have their level of power, but what shifted my universe is when I was able to tap into a living God, a present time God.
Yes.
And so I had to bear witness to that, and I'm grateful every single day that he allows me to have access, when he allows me to have access to his mind. So when I say Sister Zodi, Sister Tisa, Sister Sadia, Sister Naira, women who belong to Islam, a living testimony, right here, present time, right now, who allow the Spirit of God to come through them and use them. They have agreed to be a vessel. And I pray to Allah, what you were able to get from this program today is we're just an example. We're just somebody that came on Zoom to give you an example. That is what he wants for you. You are today, present time, you're the living testimony. So you are to tap into what Allah has for you. I don't care what you call him. I call him Allah. I know, I believe, no, I know the up-to-date God. I call him Master Farad Muhammad. That God that I tap into, that is the source of the power that comes through me. You tap into God and allow him to come forth in you because the world needs it at this time. We are the women. We are the Marys, present day time, right now. Our light, our wisdom is what's needed to shift this universe, not to just bring in any world, but we are ushering in the kingdom of God. And that ain't no small time thing. So I'm asking, as I've always asked from the very beginning, Mary, come forth. Come forth. God wants to use you. This is our time to create what our ancestors wanted to create what the God said create for this particular time in this particular universe that we share together.
Beautiful.
So thank you so much. I am so humbled. I'm so grateful that each one of you agreed to come on and share your beauty and your love with the audience today on Tuesday Tea. Any closing words that anybody would like to share before we tune off of Facebook?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to remind us that in our prayer, every time we do the different positions of adoration known as our prayer, that the one that was introduced, all of the prayer positions came from these great masters you spoke about, spiritual masters. But the one that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, brought to us was the prostration known as sajda. That is when the head connects to the earth and you're in a fetal position. And that's the only position where the heart sits above the head. And that's a sign to us that everything we do, every time we submit our will to do Allah's will, everything that we do is preceded by love. So when you spoke about love today, I wanted to tie in the concept that we have to remember as we're doing our prayer, we are preceding everything that we do with love. It has to be undergirded with love. First beginning with love for Allah, which of course is love for self, and then the rest will follow. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Sister Zodi, I saw you came off mute. Did you want to share anything?
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to make a comment about what Sister Tisa just said. That was powerful because I've been contemplating this thing, like since I've been prostrating, making salat, I feel so much in my heart, like expanding, and I didn't know why. But what she just said just made so much sense. So thank you for that. I want to say in my closing remarks that some advice that I would give to anyone who may be interested in Islam or curious, pray to God, pray to Allah, and He will answer you. Be patient, be mindful, and know that it is a spiritual, personal journey. Personally, I've dealt with a lot of naysayers and things like that, and if I would have listened to them, I would have fallen off the path a long time ago. And to this day, there are people who still try to come against me, and I don't let that bother me because Allah is my focus. And because I've stayed steadfast and strong in that, I've been able to inspire some people to be interested in the teachings, praise be to Allah. And, my journey is quite peculiar coming from an East African family. People are like, how did an Ethiopian Eritrean end up in the nation? I thank Allah for my parents because they're so humble, and they're an anomaly of an East African couple, because when they decided where they chose to live, it was in a Black neighborhood. So I've always loved Black people. I always knew that those are my people, even though I know where I come from may be different. My ancestral historical lineage is different, but I was blessed to grow up among Black people of America and never feel like I was so different. Like I was like, those are my people. I am their people. And that, Allah is the best of planners, because he designed my life that way to where I didn't even have a strong connection to the Ethiopian and Eritrean community. So, I felt like I had an identity crisis. I felt cut off from my people, nowhere near as much as Black people in America, but it gave me a glimpse into that struggle. And so it just allowed me to have so much love and compassion and empathy for my brothers and sisters here. And I just thank Allah that He accepted me and to be a part of this nation. And I pray that He will help me to bridge the gaps between our people here and our people on the continent. And so I'm so thankful that you asked me to be a guest on this show. And I feel so honored and blessed and humbled and privileged just to be with you all and hear your stories and your journeys and your testimonies. And this was just such a beautiful time. I'm so thankful.
Praise be to Allah. We are honored. Praise be to Allah. Sister Nair, was that your closing words, or do you have some closing?
Well, I would just say, in closing, I jotted down a couple things. I would say, let's just be true to yourself. And in being true to yourself, be patient with the process that God has you in. Right. And it's not too late to accept your own and be yourself. That's okay. Right. And keep striving up that uphill road. Wherever you may be, keep striving on that journey to go up that hill, and keep looking to the hills whence your help coming from. Your help comes from the Lord. And if you are not, as my dear beautiful sister Zodi said, if you are not in the Nation of Islam and you desire to learn more about these teachings, you desire to learn more about the women of Islam, tune in to www.noi.org. Reach out to one of us. Reach out to, reach out is what I'm saying. Reach out and touch somebody. Okay? Because there's light at the end of this dark tunnel. At the end of this dark tunnel that we're in, which is a dark hour. And whether you desire to join the Nation of Islam or not, get acquainted with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
Yeah. While the light is still present, right? Let me say this. His presence, and he is a presence to all of us. While that light is still physically amongst us, do yourself a pleasure, an honor to tune up and tune in to that man's mind and listen to his words. Fight like, here we go. This is the warrior side. Fight like hell.
Come on.
Farrakhan in this hour. You got to fight for yourself and others if you don't know this man, okay? Don't look back 5, 10, 15 years from now and say, oh, I heard about him, because the Christ is amongst us now. So that's what I have to say. The Jesus that you've been waiting for, we are here to tell you, you don't have to look any further. He's here. Research it and find it out for yourself. Thank you. I love y'all.
That's right.
Thank you. I think I know you said repairoftheblackfamily.com earlier. Is there any social media platform that you'd like them to follow you on?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Sister_Nayyirah is on my Instagram. And of course, you have my Facebook, which is Nayyirah Tawfiqa Muhammad. I'm not very active on YouTube, but I'm trying to work on that, y'all. Praise be to Allah. So thank you all so very much. And I appreciate it. And Sister Allison, if I may just shout out tonight, we have Brother Student Minister Abdul Malik Saeed Muhammad will be on our Zoom call tonight. So if you want to know the conditions of life, definitely get on and tune in so you can get a clear, right, Sister Sadia, a clear perspective.
All right, come on now.
And Sister Allison, before we leave.
Sister Sadia, Allah told me to close out with you. So hold on 1 second. I'm going to be obedient. You're going to get the last word, ma'am. Sister Tisa, I wanted to come back to you because I don't think you mentioned your website. Can you let everybody know where to find you?
Yes, ma'am. If anyone's interested in getting in contact with me, my company's called A Phoenix Rising Wellness Institute. The information for that is www.aprwi.com. That is, you could also call me toll free. You could find that on the website. So once again, A Phoenix Rising Wellness Institute. That's the company that I have. There's another show we should have just dealing in terms of more international work, because I do stuff on an international level as well. So those who are interested in doing more international projects can also reach out to me there as well. So thank you. And thanks again for having me.
Praise be to Allah. And then now I strive to be obedient to the God. He said Sister Sadia was giving the closing remarks. So Sister Sadia.
Praise be to Allah. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So Facebook, Sadia Kareem, Woosa Mama, WOOSAMAMMA on Instagram as well. But Sister Allison, I just wanted to recognize our beautiful sister who has returned to Allah, our student sister captain, Sister Sharifa Muhammad, who is the wife of our dear brother, Minister Abdul Sharif. And, she's returned to Allah, but all the beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know.
I didn't know either.
Yes, and while we were on it was revealed that has happened.
Oh my God, she's exemplary.
Yes, although it may be a great loss, we have done so much in the person of this beautiful sister. And I thank Allah, because when we're talking about our living testimony, we're talking about light, we're talking about that star, we're talking about that servant who has the reflection of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I just wanted to recognize our dear, beautiful sister and what she has given to us, you know, and what I have learned from her. And it is not one time that I have listened to her, been at her foot, that I have not received some type of beauty. And we talk about masters and gurus, Sister Allison.
Yes,
but
come on.
right here. So, you know, I just want us to just send that love out. It's not a time to be sad, but it's a time to be grateful and to open up our heart and expand it and to receive our sister and what she has meant to all of us and will continue to mean to all of us, because she is not dead. She is ever living and present in all of us. So I just wanted to end in that, sis, you know, and thank you for this opportunity to allow our hearts to be open and to expand.
Thank you for that. Yeah, earlier when I asked us to focus and open the space, that someone had texted me that. So I wanted to open that up really, really wide and allow our hearts to still be at peace. And if you knew anything about Sister Sharifa,
yes,
you know that this program was right on time and it was supposed to keep going and be about the business of the God. So
she's present.
Yes. Yes.
That's right. We don't die, we multiply.
Come on. Come on. So thank you all so much for that. Sisters, stay on one more minute. I am going to close off of Facebook land. Thank you all so much for joining us. Join us next week, inshallah, for Tuesday Tea. We will continue on the month of September with the Women of Islam, a Living Testimony. So, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Okay, so I believe we are off Facebook. Let me just make sure, because Facebook is a little bit behind.
It looks like it's ended.
Okay.
I had it on my laptop too.
Okay, good. I just wanted to say again, thank you all so much for joining. You know, this thing, I always say, what Allah is doing with it is definitely not me. The stuff that comes forth, I'd be like, oh, you did that, God. You, okay, alhamdulillah.
This belongs to him.
You all really touched the hearts of the people. I can tell. I mean, I see Allah moving through each and every one of you. And I pray that he continues to use you now and in the hereafter. I pray that your descendants are truly, truly blessed by the work that you continue to do for the God. So I just wanted to say that before we all got out. And I look forward to doing some more projects and some collaborations with each and every one of you. Sister Sadia, Sister Naira, I told Sister Nadia, I'm coming for that clear. Y'all just
keep open. Come on,
keep working. I'm gonna catch up.
Come on.
Just keep doing the work. I'm gonna catch up with y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. We standing by the door like this. Come on. You know,
that's
like they
right.
that movie Hercules. Where we said, come on. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Well, thank you. I know you all are busy women, so I'll let you get on with your day. Thank you so much. Love you all.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to say this, Dr. Tisa, sister, student MGT Captain Valerie Malika. Let me say that right. Malika Muhammad asked me to give you the greetings. All praises due to Allah.
Yes, ma'am. Hold on. Which city? Oh, God, help me.
Houston. Wait, hold on.
Oh, Houston. I swear like it was Houston because I know. Yeah, you know what? Because the name. But no, yes, please return the greetings to her. I was in Houston in 95 and 96. In fact, I met Lauryn Hill and the Fugees down there. And in fact, they helped use me to help set up the Million Man March campaign.
Beautiful.
So I actually put together the magazine. They had a little magazine type of setup and the other things they needed. They utilized me all the way. I love my second home. I love Houston. Please return the greetings to her as well. It's an honor. Was she on the show listening?
Yes, she was.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. My
Praise be to
son is
Allah.
gonna come to Canada, inshallah. If they have that football season over there. He's signed a contract with Ottawa. The
Oh,
Ottawa. Yes. So I
okay,
definitely
so he's
want to
moving
make
to
a
Ottawa. Yeah,
I want to make a connection with you so
okay.
that we can make sure that he stays connected with the believers out there.
Yes, ma'am. That's wonderful. So he's going to be doing football in Ottawa. Okay.
Yes, he got he has a contract with them, but they're not letting them over there right now.
Yeah.
So I guess as soon as the gates open, or however that is deemed to work out, he definitely has a contract to be playing with the Ottawa. I don't know what they're called, the Ottawa or something. But anyway,
Child, I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't pay attention to them. I really don't. Is the Ottawa something or the other? But you know what? Yes, ma'am. Please let him reach out to me. That's perfect. And pretty much, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we're closing our borders because of the whole COVID.
yes,
Not really letting anybody come in or out unless it's essential business. I've been
yes.
invited to go different places and do things, but I'm just sitting tight. Normally, I would have been in Africa by now, but a lot of
Okay.
Look, don't get Sister Naira started.
Don't get me started. I had 2 trips. I was out of here, fully paid. I was gone.
Oh,
But,
really? Where were you heading to?
Kenya and Ghana.
Oh, yes. That would have been fun. You know what? Kenya, and I need to acknowledge my ancestors better. One of my ancestors was kidnapped in Kenya, and she was brought to Gore and sold off of the island. Her name was Titi, and
Wow.
she jumped off a ship, and she was never a slave.
Wow.
I have tuned into her over the years. My dad raised me up knowing about my ancestors, so they used to teach
Yes.
me about different ones. So I'm aware that some of my ancestors come from North Africa. I'm aware of some who've come from there, and also West Africa.
Beautiful.
And what's interesting is that when you mentioned her, she's part of a group. I was going to try to pull it up, but I'll leave it alone. She's part of a tribe that uses her ethnic group. They do their medicine in the forest. They go into the dark of the forest to do all their healing work.
Wow.
And yet she was an amazing swimmer, which is why she jumped off the ship and lived and swam to the Grenadine Islands and lived there in Karakou, raising her family. And they were extremely wealthy,
Wow.
that family. And all the swimming, I mean, she was a fish. But what's interesting is her people came from the water, and they're extremely good swimmers, but they go into the forest in the dark to do their medicine. And so I have in my family this real beautiful, rich history of these healers. And so when I'm needing to pull on something, I call on them, and I focus on them in terms of the answers for different things. It's like you bring their spirit to you.
Yes.
Wow.
You know about that, huh, Sister
Need to
Naira?
go there.
I do. I'm like, woo, I better talk that language. Come on, Sister Allison. Y'all know it. Y'all know what's happening over here.
But the interesting part about that, I'm listening to you, Sister Tisa, and now I understand something. I keep getting a vision of being in a lush forest, and they want me to pay attention to the dirt, to the different plants. And I'm like, why you keep sending me to this forest? Like, what do you want me to do here? And I knew that it was connected to the earth and just that type of medicine and herbs, but that keeps happening. So that gives me some insight. Yes.
Let me share with you why. When you look at the forest, what is it that a forest is known for? Just the most obvious thing. The trees.
The trees
have been here since when? You're dealing with ancient wisdom. You're dealing with energy that's trapped. Not trapped, but that's encapsulated in each tree.
Yes,
when I went to Senegal back in 2013, I was called to Senegal out of the water. I was in Florida, we were swimming, we had just launched our tea company. And every time I turned out and I looked into where the sky meets the water, I felt my spirit telling me, just walk. And I knew if I walked in that water, I knew I was going to drown. Okay, if I walked beyond a certain point, it was going to be the end for me. But what Allah was really showing me, I knew I was being called to Africa. So I called a colleague of mine and told him I received my spiritual calling
My God.
The desire was so strong. As soon as I arrived, and let me tell you, I got over there for $568 round trip.
Come on.
I was round trip, went to Senegal. Within my first few days, as soon as I landed, I just felt it all over me. I mean, I lay on the bed to rest, and they started talking to me. The whispering was there in the room.
Yes.
And the more that every day, every night, they convened with me and they kept talking to me. Don't ask me what they said, because it wasn't like that. It was like there was a council happening over me.
Yes.
It's like I heard them speaking to me, but I cannot tell you what they were saying. I just know that they were convening over me. And it was like constant talking. They were telling me, welcome back. It was a lot of things. Within that, because I knew I had to be there for my 40th birthday. So August 8th was my born day. I was told to go to Gorée. I went to Gorée. I cried the days leading up to it. By the time I arrived in Gorée Island, oh man, I was breaking. I was so, oh man, I just felt it. But the people who were there, they walked to me because I couldn't stop crying when I was there waiting for the boat. And a brother came up and they touched me and they said, "You've been here before." And I said, "Yes, I know." I just knew it. Got on the boat, cried the whole way. By the time we landed in Gorée, all of a sudden I had what I would call a dream fast. I was taken back in time. I was being raped in there. And the woman, one of these white women who had traveled down the same time to stay in the home with my colleague, because they were coming from another company representing this other essential oil company, and we all happened to be there at the same time. She and I had actually had a life experience in the past. She was a male. She was a young boy who was working with the ship captain, but they raped me and they kept me upstairs and they would lock me in there. I would not get food if I fought them. So he would actually come and take the food he had and give it to me in a napkin, in a kerchief, and pass it to me, and I would eat. And then at night, he would steal the key after the captain was drunk and release me. And we would walk along those shores. I remember the black stones. I remember the walk. So by the time we arrived and we were in Gorée in the door of no return, I immediately went to releasing the energy that was trapped. You could feel it. You could see them around. There was a child who was trapped in a corner, hidden. He was like about 6 years old, little boy. He was afraid. Little babies, like little tiny ones, like 3 years old, all hidden in there. And it was like the calling them out and sending them. That white woman actually worked with me to do some spiritual work. And we were actually going in each room and clearing it. Now, would you know, at the same time, the crew that did the documentary for President Obama visiting Senegal, they just happened to be there that day filming. But do you know, when they came in and saw us doing the energy, they stopped the whole crew, moved them back, let us finish clearing the room, and then they came in and did their filming. They respected what we were doing. And not only did they, but everybody who came through stepped back and waited till we cleared the rooms. I had to do that. We had to release the spirit. I felt in myself that I was sending them back here to us and giving us back the knowledge we needed to free ourselves. I just felt it all through my spirit. We had to free them. The men who were trapped in there, who had died under the steps, all of these people, release them, go. I mean, it was so powerful. Then a few days later, I lay in my bed. The night before, I was told about a very highly spiritual man who they wanted to introduce me to. And if I could do a quick sidebar, I know some of you have to leave, but Africans will do a spiritual reading on you. I know our sister Zaudi could bear witness to that. When you come to do business, they will do a spiritual reading on you. You don't know it, but they do. They don't do anything with you unless they've consulted properly, which we all should do. So they will do a spiritual reading on you, and they will go to these different people to ask, well, who is this person? What role do they play? how would they fit into the greater scheme of things? And they had to come to me to tell me about the spiritual reading they did on me. Normally they don't, but they had to. Because as my business partner, now, at the time he wasn't, but Papa Abdul Fai, he said to me, it was so great what they said about you. We had to let you know. They told me about my ancient ancestor, who was a man of God, who served God his whole entire life, and who was deeply gifted. He was given so many gifts by Allah. And they said that before he passed, Allah told him his time was up and asked him if he was ready. He said he was, but he said, is there anything you want of me? And he told Allah, I want that everything you have bestowed on me in this life, it doesn't die with me, that it goes on to those who come after me. And Allah granted him favor. And they told them, they said, she is one of the ones who was a receiver of his spiritual gifts. So they said, bring her everywhere. Have her bless every room, every marriage, every baby. Anything you do, your money, your fun, anything you do, let this woman go. That actually has opened up all the doors for me in Senegal up until the president's office and their highest spiritual leader. I've actually sat down with these people and their staff, or someone connected to them.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. But all of this family comes from because you put Farrakhan ahead of you.
That's right.
You're not you going there because, I know everything. No, I'm going in the name of Allah, with the name of Allah. Yes. And what would Farrakhan do? You put that ahead of everything, you will get every door open that's closed. I bear witness. Back to the forest, sister. When I was there, they told me about this spiritual brother who they wanted me to meet. And let me give you the background. This is the brother who the police go to. When somebody commits a crime, they go to people like him. And they say, look, we need that person who did the crime to come back because he's hiding. He will do some prayers. He's part of what's known as the Murid Brotherhood. They have a powerful ancestor known as Amadou Bamba, who the French talked about. It wasn't the black people, it was the French who said that they watched this man throw a prayer rug on the water when they captured him. No, sorry, when he gave himself to them, because they didn't capture him. He walked up and said, here, take me, He threw his prayer rug on the water because they told him, don't pray on this ship. We don't want you to offend us on the ship. The captain came and said, isn't it in Islam that you cannot pray among people who you offend? You have to go off somewhere else? He said, yes. And he said, well, then nowhere on this ship are you allowed to pray. You're offending all of us. We're all on the ship. We don't want you praying. So he took his prayer rug and he threw it on the water, according to them. And they say he stepped on that water and he performed his prayers from his afternoon prayers, Zuhr, all the way down to his last prayer, Isha. They watched him stay on that water and meditate and do dhikring on his prayer rug in the water next to the ship. They wrote back to France that he scared the hell out of them. He even did something else. They left some lions hungry and then they threw him inside there with the lions. And they were like, we done with that nigga. We done, bye. They turned back a week later and found this man laid up with all these lions curled up under him and they all sleeping. They
know who God is.
They poked him. That's right. They poked him. They were shocked. What the hell's happening here? I can only imagine what they felt like. And finally, they left him longer. I think it was 2 more weeks later, left him in there. Turned back again. They saw him again. This time they saw him, he was petting the mane of one of the main lions. They got him out of the cage. And when they got him out, some of the lions escaped and started attacking the French troops. And this is in their history regarding this man. This is not legend. This is actually written accounts of this man. And he was, in the meantime, talking to them, and they were trying to threaten him because they couldn't break him. They couldn't kill him. Nothing that they tried worked. And they had to run and get him and bring him back because the lions were now eating. They were attacking and just eating the soldiers. So when they brought him back, they asked him, please, if you can get them back in the cage because we cannot control them. They're hungry. He walked up to the leader of them, and they say he plucked the hair off of its mane And then he took the hair and turned it towards the cage. And they went in the cage and submitted. And they locked them in. There's many more stories about him. But I want to say that that Moor Brotherhood is part of what that brother's part of. Very deeply spiritual people. So here's the thing. They told me about this man and said they wanted to bring me to meet him. I lay in my bed that night and another night, and then early in the morning, I heard in my ear, go to Falu, go to him. And I felt it in my heart. And although I'm not a person to step out, like when I'm in a country, you know, you're a guest of someone, I want to get their permission. So I called my host and I said, listen, Pop, I just got a spiritual message. Allah told me go to Falu. I need to go to him today. I was told go to him today. And he made arrangements for his wife to bring me there. I walked inside there, and mind you, their language is Wolof or French or other ethnic languages. English is not really their thing. When I sat down in the compound, I'm sitting there, and the way I'm dressed, you know, I'm there, I'm not speaking. Door opens to this compound, one of the huts. Out walks this gentleman, well-dressed with the white. He walks up and says, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Tissa, welcome. He didn't know who the hell I was. And he told me, I've been expecting you. When he brought me inside there, we brought in an interpreter. Now, mind you, he's not supposed to be able to speak any English, but he's speaking English to me. I sit down with him. They bring an interpreter in, and the interpreter is trying to interpret what he's saying. And he says to all of them, she is more powerful than I am. She has more gifts than I have. This woman you see here is highly gifted. So all of them are looking at me like, what? Because if you see the compound, people are wrapped around this place waiting to speak to him. I mean, this man is extremely powerful in their culture, but he's now turning over and saying, I'm more powerful than he is. So they're looking at me like, who the hell is she? You know, she's an American. That's what they say, you know, American. And then he asked for privacy. And when they left, he's speaking to me and, you know, said some things to me. But he told me, he said, I know why you're back. And he said, I'm going to pray to Allah to return. And he's speaking to me in English, to return all of your spirits to you and bring them right back here while you're here, so that you will be able to take all of the gifts they have and use them. And family, I will dare say that after I left and went back from Senegal, I've never been the same since with that. But I put everything on our teaching. So the forest, sister, is an encapsulation of knowledge and wisdom, which we can tune into, but we have to open up our heart to it. You're being called to the forest because the forest represents a womb. It's dark. It's the ability for you to extract information that has been captured and captivated, language, knowledge, experiences in all of those trees and the soil. You know, it may look like if it's fresh, but this stuff is old and ancient, antiquated. But as soon as you go there, you'll be able to meet your spirit, and you'll be able to have something open in you where Allah can really speak and show you what he has yet to reveal in you. And with that being said, we can go to the water. I learned something very, very ancient when I was there, a practice that was shown to me by birds. It was like a sign that came through some birds when I was there. And when I went to the water, they showed me, pray in the 4 directions, Dua al-Fatiha, stand in the water, turn in the 4 directions, and pray to Allah in the 4 directions. And when you're finished, come right back to where you began. Start in the east and go right back to the east. And when you are finished doing your prayers in those 4 directions, everything that you had on you, I don't want to say to you, but just pay attention to what happens in your life. I went to bed after doing that while I was there in Senegal, and I was even advised, shave your head. I took off very long. I had locks I was growing for 15 years. They were so long. Those women were crying when they saw me shave it off my head. They couldn't believe it. But Allah told me remove it. And when I removed it, I saw that people had put things in my locks, even when they were doing my hair. One particular sister who actually ended up being the one who stole the money from my company, she had used spiritual praises on me through my hair. So to this day, I do not relock my hair because I understand how locks attract energy. I learned it from that time when Allah told me shave it off, and I took everything off. All of a sudden, all the stuff that had been hidden was the lights turned on. And he showed me so much, you know. So that ability to tune in is not congested because of fragmented information from years and years of pain and everything else. I don't care how much you soak your hair, because I wash mine every day. It still holds information that has to be released and renewed. So the minister telling us to do that is giving us an ability to release a lot of unnecessary energy and baggage that we carry because of just life. When you've learned the experience, your hair is still holding on to it. So you've got to release it. Wow. And so, sister, go to the forest and go to the water and extract the wisdom that Allah has there for us, because he hides knowledge and wisdom in nature for us. And if you want to learn more about something, start to spend time with it, hold it, carry it with you, and communicate with it. It will communicate with you, because everything has language. Everything holds language, and everything holds secrets. But until we're open to it and we're not afraid of that knowledge, and we know that the only barrier, like that brother who could not speak English, when they asked him, how the heck did you communicate with her? He said, it just came to him, the words. So he desired to communicate with me, and because of that, the communication came, and I can learn from him. But all of that I've seen there, and I'm telling you, I've seen some very magnificent things. I've seen that same brother create paper out of nothing. I saw him make paper out of nothing. All of that could have, led me, I'm going to follow him. He's going to be my leader, right? But I don't care what they do. There's some of them who get shot with bullets. There's one, he's the one who you go to when you want somebody dead, you go to him. And this brother goes every year at their wrestling games, and he stands up, beautiful garment, and he puts his hands out. They have a firing squad on all angles, and he's turning around and playing the music, and he's just there moving in the graceful way they do. And these bullets just flying off this man. You understand me?
Our people.
I would never follow him, because everything that we see that they can do, we can do it better.
That's right.
We just have to tune in to that knowledge. We can call the rains. We can call the storms.
Yes.
We already told all this. But if we continue to hide and be afraid of that which Allah has placed in us, and we keep thinking, it's me, it's me, it's me, and not saying it's him, it's him, it's him, he cannot work with those who don't want to leave themselves open to allowing themselves to be used as his vessel and his tool.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. And just to give confirmation, I did get that message about the forest and the water. I have to bear witness to that. So thank you.
It's an ancient practice, sister.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an ancient practice. And I learned that in Senegal when I went there. It came from a brother who was in the water swimming. And this brother had no life jacket, nothing on. Was out there swimming for 8 hours, child. I mean, had a little boogie board, doing fishing with a little, when I talk about this God, this black God, gorgeous brother, rolled out of the ocean with shea butter on his skin. And he was out there for 8 hours, came from miles out. I saw him. He was nothing but a speck. By the time he came to shore, swam in there just like nothing, and was out there waiting, floating for 8 hours, getting fish, getting fresh fish. And when he came in, he's bringing the little boogie board out the water. And the first thing he did, he's watching me when he comes out. I'm amazed, because I'm like, where did this brother come from? You're saying, it's like, how the hell did that happen? And they're telling me, yeah, he's been out there all day. And he comes out and he looks at me. And then they said, she is from the people of the Lebu. And the Lebu are the people of the water. They could tell when they look at your features who your people are. So they said, she's one of the people of the Lebu. And the Lebu are known for deep spiritual powers and the ability to heal anything.
Wow.
So
look,
thank you.
Look, Sister Sadia, look, thank you for the visual on the black God, with the beautiful skin and the shea butter. Right.
I have to share it.
I can see it. I can see it.
Sister, I had to share because I was mesmerized. Sister, it was amazing because he wasn't the only one. This is how they are. They stay in the water.
Wow.
Yeah, they're powerful. All our people are powerful, but it's when you understand who the people are. The people of the water have specific gifts. The people of the land have specific gifts. The people of the milk or the cows or the herding have certain gifts. Those who are farmers, all of them have specific secrets and gifts and certain medicine that they give. But if you understand what it is, you know what they can do, you know. But I was saying he came out, and as he came, they said, this is a woman of the Lebu. And he looked at me, and then he says, she's to go to the water. That was his statement. And the minute he said, a bird, whoop, out of nowhere, just flew up. And I said, oh, that's a message. And then Allah showed me what to do. So I'm sharing that with us. When you're ready to release and open, go to the water, pray in the 4 directions, and call on Allah. And he's going to give us everything we need, everything.
Wow,
everything.
thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right,
wow.
Thank you so much.
After meeting, this whole back meeting was
right.
everything.
This is look, blessed. You have definitely blessed us. And I already told you, Sister Tisa, I'll be in touch to tell you when to get my room ready. So
yes, ma'am.
You know,
Sister,
I'll sleep on the floor. You know, it don't matter. I'll be there. I'll let you know.
Well, you know what, Sister Sadia, these whole back meetings, there's some things I never would say publicly. I can't speak about these things.
That's when it comes out.
Can't receive it. That's why I was very careful about some of the things I was trying to say, because I've seen some things.
I have too, and that's the thing, that when you see those things, it can challenge you, you know, if you don't know what you're looking at. And some of our people are caught up. Thank you, baby. Some of our people are caught up by what they see, and they fail to understand that everything we see is just a sign of us and everything we can do. So anything you want to know, consult with the God in you, ask him, and he'll give it to you. You know.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you all so much. Oh, and Sister Zodi, text me your phone number, please.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I look forward to staying connected with all of you. So I'm going to request those of you who I'm not friends with on Facebook yet, I'm about to add y'all.
I've already subscribed to your YouTube channel, Sister Zodi.
Oh, praise be to Allah.
That's so cute. Yes. I need to find you all too. Praise be to Allah.
All right, sisters, enjoy the rest of your day. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum